stage, Casey Neistat and Akilah Hughes.
Thank you.
I like that pronunciation, Neistat. I think anything, listen, it's creative space, creative interpretation. How is everybody? How you doing? That good? Come on. Excellent.
You're really good at this.
I just feel like, listen, everybody here looks great. Everybody here has a camera out, and it looks like a big fancy one. You all are getting the audio. Let's give some audio.
I always thought of Akilah Hughes as this like wild intellect who can bring such smart and intelligent perspectives to a conversation. I didn't know Hype Woman was also on your resume.
My dream, actually. So if anyone's hiring, the strike did just end. I will hype up anyone holding a camera. Well, I know we only have an hour together. Everyone here is really excited to hear from you. Probably a lot of people who subscribe to you on YouTube. Who here subscribes to Casey? I see like 3 people who are like, what does he do?
That guy.
They actually just wandered in here. Well, I want to jump right into it because I think you're talking to a lot of creators, a lot of people who were inspired by the way that you built your empire, frankly.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit, I think from the beginning, about how you create. I think that this conversation should basically follow from idea to actual creation. So let's start with you as the observer. So one of your greatest creative strengths, I think, is being just an impeccable observer. You know, when an audience watches your videos, and that includes me, I think that, you know, as you're discovering things on camera, we're discovering them at the same time. And so how have you sort of honed your ability to capture these sort of quiet, indirect moments, you know, that other filmmakers, I think, tend to miss?
God, I told you she was like a smart intellect. That is such a deep question, Akilah. You know, I think that I early on, it just kind of was super evident to me that like what's not interesting is what's happening on your camera like this, or back in the day like this, or your camcorder like. What's interesting is what's happening on the other side of that, what's happening in the real world. And I think that your job as a photographer, a cinematographer, storyteller, filmmaker, YouTuber, your job is to share that interestingness. My least favorite conversations, despite saying this at a talk for Sony, my least favorite conversations are technical ones, because who gives a shit? Like, I want to know what you're doing with those tools, not about the tools.
Right.
So what I'm always looking for is that interestingness, and my eyes are always up, and the camera can be here, and when I see that moment of interestingness, the litmus is always like, do I care about that? And it can be something subtle, it can be something huge, it can be a little nothing, or it can be something that actually is meaningful. But once I recognize something as interesting, that's when it's time to leverage the tool.
Yeah.
Whatever's in your hand, whether it's your phone or like one of these big fancy cameras that you see under glass here, that's when the tool's job is to capture and communicate that interestingness. So I don't remember exactly what your question was. What did you ask me, Akilah?
It's about, I think, honing those instincts, right? Because like,
Right.
I think as filmmakers, especially when you're first starting out, you're just like, you're not getting enough, you're not even capturing enough to edit anything together, but you're just so excited to be able to do it. And I think that it requires a level of relaxing into it and paying
Sure.
attention. So it's like, how did you get to, I guess, a place where you figured out what was interesting to tell a story? Like, I'll give you an example. So you just did a video about how you shot this amazing commercial for Lululemon in Vancouver.
Sure.
And there was a shot at the end where they were wrapping up, and your co-star in the commercial like dabbed you up. And it's like 1 second, but it's like something that a lot of people I think would have missed. They would have just been like, the excitement is that someone is yelling, not like there was action around. So it's like, is that just who you are naturally, or do you think as a filmmaker you're looking for...
That is such a specific and great example. So like, what the video was is Lululemon had like a big, huge, multi-million-dollar 30-second TV commercial shoot starring DK Metcalf, like an NFL superstar, Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player to ever live, and then like that funny looking guy from YouTube. And I just had like a bit part in it where I skateboard through the frame at the beginning. But I got to be on this huge fucking set where they had all the cameras and the camera cars and union crews, and probably not union. Probably not union.
Maybe not union, you know.
All these, like, it was a huge production. And the only thing they said to me is, please don't film anything during the shoot. So I like gave my cell phone to my agent who was there, and I was like, just record it, like record wherever you can. And that's what she did. She got these like cute little sneaky shots of me. But when it was over, like I saw the crew gather around, and we've been trying to get this one shot. And they're like, we're not going to get it. We're over time. We have to kill. And the director's like, one more take. And I think that he got it. And I saw the crew kind of coalescing in a celebratory way. So I went over to Carolyn and I was like, can I have my phone? And I took it and I just skateboarded over towards the noise. And what I was seeing in real life was so, like, it was people celebrating. It was like the most lovely thing. Like, we did it. It was like a collective celebration of accomplishing a collective goal. And as I rolled up, I get tapped on my shoulder, and he's like, yes. And it was just my POV. It wasn't like this. I just turned.
For YouTube, like if somebody said the word YouTube and they're like, name a person, most people here would probably be like Casey Neistat. Then it would be like Mr. Beast. It would be like maybe PewDiePie. I don't know. But I think that you have a unique career because your appeal spans age ranges, genders, countries. I mean, it's a real global appeal. And so I'm curious, you know, if it was intentional to attract that broad of an audience, and do you think it's even possible now? Like, I feel like you came in at a very specific time where like doing something daily was so novel, so like it was an added bonus that what you were doing was good. Do you think that that's even possible for someone to build organically in 2023?
I don't know. I think that if I what I did in 2015, if I did it in 2023, I think it would find an audience that would not be successful like it was then. YouTube was like a disgusting cesspool of garbage in 2015, and now YouTube's just a much bigger disgusting cesspool of garbage. But it's harder to connect with an audience now. But I do think there are opportunities in what YouTube is now, which is that, you know, I think back in the day you had to have that sort of ubiquitous appeal. You had to be like, there's a binary. Either you were big, which meant successful, or you weren't, and you were nothing. Yeah. And I think now we're seeing this proliferation of smaller channels about niche subject matter that are really connecting with an audience in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
So no, I think mass appeal is always overrated. I think that, like, I have this video written that I never made, but it's this idea that, like, I think without exception, there might be a couple exceptions, but without exception, every movie that's won Best Picture, as in the movie that was most celebrated by the artistic bodies put in a position to evaluate them on their artistic merit, the movie that won Best Picture is almost never the same movie that had the highest grossing box office receipts.
True.
The exception is like Gone with the Wind or some shit.
Yeah, The Godfather movie.
But that to me is such a vivid correlation that, like, quality doesn't always, like, McDonald's sells way more food than whatever Michelin 5-star restaurant is in New York City. It doesn't mean McDonald's is the best food or what's best for the world at large. And that's why I think mass appeal is often like a really shitty ambition. Yeah. I like, you know, like New Kids on the Block, we're the biggest group in the world for like all of the 80s. When was the last time you listened to that whole line is wrecked because I couldn't think of the name of one of their songs. My point exactly. Yeah. We got the right stuff. Yeah. And it's still in there. Doesn't mean the song's good. Right. Shit song. Yeah. But, like, you know, there might be that small band that you love, that band that never broke through, and they wrote something like that really affects you. So I think mass appeal is a mistake. Yeah. And I think, like, you know, I look at, again, my brother Van, when he started his YouTube channel, he was like, my shit's so weird, Casey. Nobody's going to want to watch it. And I was like, you might be right, but I think someone might want to watch it. Like not as many people will watch your weird shit, Van, as will watch, like, how long can you stand in a circle to win $1 million? Yeah. But the 10 people that watch your extremely, deeply thoughtful, like, introspective, psycho videos, my brother Van, they're amazing. Like, they're not going to forget them. Versus people watching sensational popcorn Transformer-style films, which I watch them too. I don't think about them again. They don't change me as a person. Yeah. And that's why I think, like, purpose will always trump appeal.
Wow. I mean, I think the word purpose will always trump appeal. And I guess the follow-up to that is, like, are you making videos for yourself or are you making videos for an audience? Like, what do you enjoy about it, and does it have to appeal to other people for you to want to make it?
I mean, for me, uniquely, no. but I'm in a privileged seat to say that.
Yeah, you already got paid. So.
Yeah, and I already have my audience, and like it's a wonderfully luxurious place. And there's definitely been videos that I made because I needed to maintain, like when I stopped doing my daily vlog, it was because like there's this thing. I don't know if you guys are on YouTube. If you've ever posted a YouTube video, you know this thing. But the only YouTube comments that hurt are the ones that say something that you agree with.
Yeah.
You're like, people can say bullshit about you, mean shit all day long. You just rolls off. But when someone says something that's the truth, I remember seeing a video, it was like towards the end of my daily vlog, I was like, it just seems like Casey's uploading to upload, like he doesn't care anymore. And I was like, man, that goes deep. Right into my soul. So I just said it to like guilty, and I've done that in the past.
Yeah.
But now, like, absolutely not. Like, I don't read comments anymore. I don't look anymore. I deleted, what's that app called? The YouTube Studio.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I feel
off my phone, and click upload, and then just go back to my life.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because, like there's a New York City had a flood a couple weeks ago. There was like a fucked up storm, didn't stop raining for a week, and there was some really bad flooding. And I called my buddy in the morning, I was like, dude, we gotta go capture these floods. Like, it's wild what's happening. I've never seen flooding like this in the city. So my friend and I ran around all day long, didn't get a single shot of any floods.
Yeah.
But I was like, maybe I can hobble something together that's like shows our experience. And I made a little video and I stole shots off of Instagram with credit.
True.
Of the flooding. Totally charming 5-minute video. Not my best, I would say, in the grand scheme of things, of like my best work and my worst work. It was somewhere over here. Totally mediocre work. But it was fun, I made it, whatever, click upload. It does like, a zillion views.
Yeah.
It does like 10x what my normal videos, because the zeitgeist was right. I had a great thumbnail. People were curious about the flooding. The title was sexy.
Yeah.
All of that. That was like my equivalent of the New Kids on the Block. You've got the right. Anybody who clicked play on that is not thinking about it the minute it's over. Mm-hmm. But I made it because I knew it would kind of pop off, and I put work into it. It was fun enough, and whatever. It was me delivering popcorn and not something more meaningful. So I say all that just to contextualize the fact that, like, yeah, I only make videos for me.
Yeah.
Like, I try to subscribe to the religion of Rick Rubin, which is like, when is the work good? When you think it's good. When is the work done? When you think it's done.
Yeah.
And that's really easy to do when I have 1,200 videos on my YouTube channel, and I do feel like I don't need outside reinforcement. Like, I'm fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine. I don't need pats on the back. I do it because I love it. But when I was like younger and starting out, it was a much scarier place.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was as true to myself then as I am now. That's to say, it's a process. Like, you have to get there, and it's scary and hard.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is a good time to talk about daily versus not daily. I don't know if there are daily bloggers in the audience, but
do daily bloggers still exist? How many of you here have YouTube channels?
A lot.
And how many of you here are just more like regular still photographers? What do the rest of you do?
They're just vibing out. They don't even know where they are right now.
What's that? Just vibing. Free snacks.
The vibes are good. Well, I mean, I think that it's interesting because I've been on YouTube since like 2005 or something, but not like consistent, like the classic story of like every now and then I put out a banger, but it's a lot of random shit here and there. And I remember, I don't even know how I don't remember the first video I saw of yours, but I knew that you were like a big deal because at that point you had already gotten like 1 million followers from doing these daily videos. And they were also like so detailed that I was like, this man doesn't sleep. Like, how do you edit this in a day? And so I am curious because I think a lot of people found you then. And now you don't do it daily, but it also does seem like you get a lot more time with your creativity. What do you prefer? And like, do you think, one way is better than the other?
It's tough. I think like it comes back to what your goals are. And I do think on a place like YouTube, there's an opportunity to build a rapport with your audience if you're uploading with some degree of consistency.
Yeah.
I think like Mr. Beast is a prime example. He fluctuates from uploading once a week to once a month, but you know him.
Yeah.
You know Jimmy. His audience knows him. They know when they click on it, it's going to be Jimmy's face fucking screaming at you. You know what's coming because he's taken years, a decade plus, to build that relationship with his audience. And I built it in a much more compressed time frame. when I uploaded my first daily vlog, I'd already been on YouTube for 7 or 8 years. In 7 or 8 years, I'd accumulated 100 million views, which I'm very proud of.
Hell yeah.
And I think something like 280,000 or 410,000 subscribers. And from the first daily vlog, 18 months later, I was at 10 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And a few billion views. So like my trajectory was like this. It was this bumpy, slow, very subtle incline, and then just exploded. And I credit that explosion not to making better work, but to people understanding who I was.
Yeah.
And some people, more than not, were like, I enjoy watching this kind of content. Oh, there's more. The next morning they'd wake up and they're like, oh, there's a little bit more. Continue that for like 800 straight days and you build this really profound relationship with the audience.
Yeah.
And my job, my role now is just to make the work as good as I could make it, and the audience kept showing up.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I think like to try and do that today would be very different, because I think the appetite of viewers has changed so much in the last decade, and I think there's nothing novel about putting out work in such a manic pace. I think the world has really changed, but back then it was a very effective way of building a relationship with an audience.
And so now that you are like free of that, because I do think like, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like to me that would be really scary to have to live up to that. And also like to be so beholden to an audience that expects you to be available every day. So like, do you feel freer now? And also like, has it affected how you approach making work? Like, can you give it a lot more time, or like, is it still like you're making it frantically in a day?
No, it's made me worse. Like I think I was like the best version when I was uploading daily, because, and I talk about this in so many of my daily vlogs, but like what is it? Perfection is the enemy of good enough, or something.
Yeah. Don't make perfection the enemy of good.
Yeah, and like when you have an obligation to post every day, and it felt like there was a gun to my head. I had to post every day, self-imposed. I was holding the gun. I didn't have time to stop and think like, is this a worthy idea?
Right.
Like there were some days where I had nothing, and I'm like, fuck, I've got nothing. How do I make this work? How can I come up with 5 to 7 minutes of interestingness? That pressure is so positive for an artist, because like I don't have that pressure anymore. And on top of that, like I couldn't afford rent back then, and now I'm like, I have a degree of financial security where like I'm not worried about paying rent this month or paying for lunch tomorrow. And what that does is it's like I get into my office and it's like, you know, time to make the donuts, let's get to work and make a video. And then it's like, you know what else is cool? Watching TV. And I just fuck off every day. And I have nothing to show for it. So that,
I don't know, you're making it sound pretty funny.
that pressure of having to do it is really positive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'm old school in this, but like when I had an office job and I had to show up every day, it made me a little better for some reason. Like when I was really, really broke and had to support my family, I wanted to be the best. I worked in a restaurant as a dishwasher. I was the best dishwasher. On a Saturday night when we were down to 1 dishwasher, it was supposed to be 2, that bus bucket was never full. I was the best dishwasher, because I had to be.
Yeah.
And now like 3 dishes, I'd be like, I'm gonna watch TV. Like so that pressure is really positive.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has to be as manic of a video every day to imbue that pressure. But I think putting requirements on yourself, ones that have consequences.
Yeah.
If I didn't post every day, my income would have gone away. Having that is ultimately for an artist a really positive thing.
Yeah.
If you'll let me babble for more about it, a little bit longer about it. There's also something which is like second guessing yourself, which if you have an inkling of creativity in your being, which we all do, you have second guessed yourself before. This picture is not good enough to post, this video is not good enough, that idea is not good enough, I'm not going to tell him about this, I'm not going to tell her because it's stupid.
Yeah.
When you have to post a fucking video every day,
It's good enough.
there's no second guessing yourself. It is just go.
Yeah.
It is just go. You don't get to look back. You don't get to pause and think. That last video I uploaded about the Lululemon thing, which I think I was really proud of that video. I thought it turned out really fun. That took me like 2 months to make because I was just like, nah, stupid idea. That doesn't work. Maybe I have to watch on TV. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
And when I had a daily video, I never had the opportunity to second guess my own creativity or ideas. And that made me, like, that means some work I put out was a 6 instead of a 10. That makes you better. Mm-hmm. Like, finishing something, putting the stamp on it, and moving on makes you better. It's having all of these unfinished things that flame the fire insecurity,
Yeah.
and it scare you and make you not want to create, and forcing yourself to finish, move on, it does make you better, and I miss that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I also think like there's something to having another chance the next day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, that one wasn't it.
What's
but-
the guy's name who shot that actress?
Oh, Alec Baldwin?
Alec Baldwin.
What a way to describe Alec Baldwin.
No, before he became a murderer.
Yeah, before that.
Talked about his role on 30 Rock.
Love it.
And he said he thinks it's his best performance because unlike the other roles that he's renowned for, like Glengarry Glen Ross or any of his fantastic performances, he got to have bad episodes.
Yeah.
And reinvent his character and flesh out his character. Like if you think like what's your favorite show? If you think about The Office, like Steve Carell was kind of a dick in the first season of The Office, where he was like a jerk, like not likable.
Yeah.
And then in season 2 when he closed the deal with like at the Chili's, you guys know what I'm talking about myself. Immediately you were like, I fucking love that guy. And he reinvented his character. And I think episodic anything lets you do that.
Yeah.
And it is a way of refining your craft and getting better and better and better. Unlike putting everything you've got into one thing, and if that one thing doesn't turn out the way you had hoped it to turn out, I think that the consequences could be more dramatic.
Oh yeah. Great answer. So I want to talk a little bit about inspiration. I think people love to be inspired, #inspired. Sometimes that word doesn't mean anything anymore, but I would like to be as specific as possible. So when I watch your work, one thing that does strike me is like how great of a documentarian you are. Like if, you know, in the future your daughters could watch it, their kids could see it, like you really have such a great, I think, just library of work that talks of, like it can speak to the times we're in, it speaks to the city you're in. And so I'm curious if you're a fan of documentaries and if there are any that you've seen throughout your life where you're like, the way they told that story has like reframed how I think about telling stories.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think I've been more affected by documentaries than narrative films, not from a creative standpoint, but from a purely inspirational standpoint. Like, when you're not bound to the limits of reality, you can make your story anything. You can make it about fucking living in space with laser swords and fucking talking Chewbacca's and stuff. that plays. But when it's a documentary, it has to be rooted in reality. And like Little Dieter Needs to Fly is maybe my favorite film, one of my favorite films. It's a movie Werner Herzog made about a guy who was a child in Germany in World War II. And he was a little kid, and the movie starts, and he's telling the story about the Americans bombing his town, his mom like running into the basement, and he runs up to the attic, and from like the top floor he sees an American pilot fly by in a P-51 Mustang and like salute the kid. And from that moment he's like, I will do anything in the fucking world to fly. And he like escaped Germany, poor kid, moved to the US, couldn't speak English, joined the Air Force, learned how to fly. They send him to Vietnam. On his first mission, he gets shot down and then spends 5 years in a POW camp, like eating maggots to stay alive, escapes, like his friend dies. He's like eating live snakes to survive. He gets rescued. Like, that movie will fuck you up.
Yeah.
Like, it will destroy you. Like, when I found out this guy, Dieter Dengler, the real human, died like 5 or 6 years ago at like age 90, I cried. That was the bond I had with this total stranger from this documentary. That movie will make you burst into tears. And it's like when you see something that good, you're like, I can't stop until I'm that good. There are like when was the last time you listened to like Prince, Purple Rain?
Oh my God.
With noise canceling headphones on, and you're just like, I want to quit because I'll never make anything in my life that's as good as what I'm experiencing right now. Like, that is the ultimate level of inspiration.
Can I give you a full sidebar on this?
Yes.
So, Purple Rain, okay, so in New York, you know how you all have like movies in the park? You have like Central Park, Bryant Park, like in the summer it's pretty lit. I think Bryant Park's on Mondays. So I love New York, I miss New York every day, I live in LA. They have something called Cinespia where they, in like the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, show films.
Okay.
And so I went to see Purple Rain on the 4th of July, not this year, but the year before. And everyone sang along. Also, if you haven't seen Purple Rain, the movie is like, you know, the storytelling leaves a lot. It could have been a TV show. I feel like there's just like a lot of open plot
Could have
lines.
been 15 minutes.
Totally. But when he gets to Purple Rain at the end, you're like, I don't even care how bad
Nothing matters.
this
Nothing
was.
matters.
And everyone sang along, and we were all like, that's an opus. Like, that's the peak of your craft. He looks amazing. It's like a 10-minute song. It's excellent.
It's like, yeah, so, and I think that like truly great work should inspire.
Yeah.
You should watch that and be like, you know, I strive to make someone feel through my work
Yeah.
the way that this individual, this artist, Prince, Werner Herzog, made me feel via their work. I think that is the ultimate. It's like, you know, I'm a huge Tarantino fan.
Yeah.
But the movie that I study the most of his is Jackie Brown.
Oh my God.
This is the
What
movie
a,
that, in
if
my
you haven't
opinion-
seen Jackie Brown, as a black woman, I'm imploring you to see this. This is
Watch. How many of you seen Inglourious Bastards?
everybody.
How many of you seen Jackie Brown? That's not bad.
Actually, yeah, these are filmmakers making
But
this film.
Jackie Brown, like, nothing
Excellent.
really happens.
No.
It's more to a play than it is a movie. Like, but in that, it's the nuance, it is mastery. It is filmmaking mastery. And it's so good that much like Purple Rain, it's one of those works of art that I watch that and I feel defeated.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I will never make anything that good again.
All right,
That's-
here's a circle
yeah.
jerky question, but like, is
Wow.
there anything,
Let's go.
are there any videos of yours where when you see them again, you're like, I can't believe I did that? Because I feel like everyone probably can relate to that on some level, especially when you dedicate a lot of time or it's like a really hard concept and you land the plane. Like, is there anything where you watch and you're like, oh, that, like, how, am I?
Yeah, totally. But like, and then for reasons that not because I admire them for because I think they're great, but like Make It Count, which is still one of my most watched videos. Like,
Hell yeah. That's how I met you.
yeah.
Yeah. You had a clip of me and Megan.
No, you were in Do What You Can.
Do What You Can. That's before it. Yes. This.
Make It Count was the predecessor to that. But this is a movie about my friend Max and I kind of stealing a budget from Nike to make a commercial, and we blew the whole budget traveling the world. And we went around the world in 10 days with like hundreds of stops and all over the place, and made a video about what it means to like make it count in life. And I'm 42 now, and I avoid travel like it's the plague. Like
Doesn't really look like
my
the
in-laws coming to town, and my wife's like, let's go somewhere romantic. Like, let's get away. And I'm like, yeah, like, why don't we stay like on the Upper West Side or something? A couple nights in Midtown. Like, I don't want to travel for anything. In that video, like, people don't believe me when I say this. Like, I used to not tell people the budget for that video, but I'll tell you now. The budget for that video was $70,000, which may sound like a lot. But like the craft services, the snack budget on an average Nike commercial exceeds that. And we spent $90,000 on the flights alone. Like we paid for it out of pocket, like that was our money. And it was only economy flights, and we didn't sleep. It was just go, 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 go. And like sometimes we couldn't find flights. Like we were in Uganda at one point in time, and we were trying to get to Tanzania or some fucked up trip like that. The only thing we could do is get on this bus. And how they loaded this bus is you'd have to go in the front in a single row, and then it would be like 8 people across. So you're just sitting like this. So like the person in front of me had a chicken, a live chicken. And you get on the bus, and it's an overnight bus, and you're just sitting there like this, and it takes off, and the lights turn off, and then the loudest like Christian sermons you've ever heard just blaring like the whole night. And I remember reaching over and opening the window to get some air because all you're breathing is people's exhale. And like, I slide the window open 1 inch before the person who's on the other side slams it back and slams my hand in there. Like, how dare you let in fresh air? That was a 10-hour bus ride with no bathroom breaks. Like, Max and I took that on the chin. We're like, this is exciting. I can't for the life of me get back to a place where I was so excited to make a video that like that was interesting or exciting. That sounds like torture right now.
Yeah.
And that's what those 10 days were.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
But then when
manic
you watch
go.
it, you're like,
And I watch it and I'm like, well, when I watch it, I don't see it for whatever the positives of the video. All I watch is like,
you're smelling
what
the breath again.
the fuck were we thinking? Like, what were we thinking making that video? Like, you truly had to be psycho to have that idea and then try to realize it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm like old and conservative in my decision making now. Like, I would just like nah, just like Go get
So
a
you just got
snack.
green
I was
screen,
gonna
right?
get a snack instead. Yeah, like I wouldn't do it, but I certainly had that when I was younger. And when I look at my films now, I remember being in that place.
Yeah. Well, we are we're in a room with a lot of people with gear. I think people probably want to talk about your kit a little bit.
Yeah, let's get into it.
And so I think, your videos vary, right? From
Sure.
like big drone videos that are like super cinematic, some that are on the fly. And so beyond just quality, because I think obviously you would choose the best looking of all of the quality, but what other metrics do you kind of factor in for building your kit from, if you're just doing a vlog on the fly to like a big commercial for someone else? Like how do you factor in?
I think something that's really undervalued because it's so easy to access and that evokes a certain sentiment in you, which is like, oh, this is sneaky, or this is home video, or this is something. And I think that's what's overlooked. I just made a video with my friend Andrew Schultz, who's a comedian, and we shot it in the New York City subway system. And it's this really manic, fast-paced, fun video. And look, I have every piece of kit in the world. Like I have everything that you could want, I have at my disposal. And I wanted to make a music video in a moving subway car. And I think 99 out of 100 filmmakers would be like, get the 3-axis gimbal.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, no, there's no gimbal here. It has to be handheld. I want to feel the imperfections of a handheld camera.
Right.
Because it will evoke this sense that it wasn't made by an agency who hired a DP who said, because we can make it perfectly stable, we will.
Right.
I wanted to evoke this sense that Andrew made this video with his friend. They just thought of it and did it. Fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
To accomplish that, it had to be handheld. So that intentionality with the hardware you choose and connecting that intent, that intentionality, to what you're trying to do creatively, narratively, what you're trying to say is something I think is overlooked.
Yeah.
Because gear is so fucking fun. It's so cool. You see the shit they have here?
Yeah.
It's fucking cool. You always want to use your coolest stuff. You always want to get the latest stuff. And I think pausing and saying, what am I trying to accomplish? There's something very necessary about that. I just bought so my first ever video camera was a Sony TRV-11.
Wow.
2000, yeah.
Jesus.
It was like before you were born, I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
But it shoots to tape. So I did all this research and I found that the last camera that used the same CCD, the same 680 by 420, 640 by 480 CCD, to have that 90s video camera look, but it actually shot to a hard drive, like a moving hard drive in a handy cam. Sony made them in the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s, and I bought one. So it's compatible with my computer now, but it's shooting that 90s aesthetic.
Yeah.
And every time I shoot with that, it looks like what I'm trying to make it look. It makes you feel like that's old.
Yeah.
In a way that's, let's do it in post. Anyone who says let's do it in post is immediately fired from my productions.
Yeah.
As if I have production people on them. But if I did, if you said let's do it in post, like get the fuck off the set.
Yeah.
Like do it in camera.
Or nothing.
You fucking coward. What are we talking about? Riled up over here.
Well, I think the gear is super important because I think you make a great point about like the best way to tell the story and what you're trying to evoke. Like even in writing, which is more of my background, there's a great book which I think you all should read. It's by a guy named Raphael Bob Waxberg. He writes BoJack Horseman.
Okay.
He has a book called Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory, and it's a series of essays. But every essay it's so clear that he found the best way to tell the story that he wanted to tell. So like an example, he tells a story about being deeply in love with this woman who's not interested in him, and she finds him annoying. And so he tells the story through a series of limericks, so you get annoyed as you get into the creative agency, I guess.
It's hard. I think you have to develop your own language. Like, one of my least favorite things is like when someone makes a video about something that is supposedly spontaneous, like proposing to their girlfriend or like, I don't know, telling someone they love, like pick something spontaneous. But it's shot in like 4K, 120, stabilized with the camera at 1/2 inch. Like, I have no fucking relationship with this.
Yeah.
You make a video about how much you love your family and it's you and your children running through a wheat field looking like, you know, like looking like some feature film. Like, I don't trust that.
Yeah.
When I see that, I'm like, how many takes, bro? How many times did you have to scream at your 6-year-old, Susie?
the cameras are over here, not
over here, eyes up here. Like, I don't believe that for a fucking second.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very literal example of like, there is a connection we have, even though like, we all recognize it, because if you're in this room, you have some knowledge of the technicalities, but someone like my wife, she's not a filmmaker, she might not recognize it, she just won't like it. This didn't mean anything to me. Why? I don't know. Just didn't mean anything.
Yeah, it looks like a commercial.
Yeah, like I have a bunch of those films where I like surprise my wife and like, not on purpose, but like the camera's just thrown down. It's always a fucked up shot. And in what you're not seeing, your brain fills it in like this is real. So communicating the realness, the authenticity, supersedes what you're missing for its technical, like what it's lacking technically. And I think because now we're in this world where like everybody in this room with whatever camera's in your hand, you can make almost any movie.
Yeah.
That there is this propensity to like, no, because I can, I should.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. Citizen Kane, like to date, one of the greatest films ever made, was still edited with scissors and Scotch tape. Like they couldn't, and they still did.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very important reminder.
Yeah. When I think about your career overall, and it's like it's your life, but it's also your career, I feel like you have these very defined chapters, right? You have the HBO era, you and your brother, you're getting paid to make something that works for cable. Then you go rogue, and it's just Casey doing it every day. No sleep, hotel, plane, hotel lobby, no sleep, again, like over and over. And then now you're kind of in this, like, you have, I think, more space to figure out. So I guess I'm curious, where do you see yourself going? Because I do think that you are, for a lot of people, this beacon of like, well, he's going to be the one to push it forward, or like, he is pushing it forward. So what do you think is next, and what are you excited for?
I have a very unsatisfying answer, which is like, one, I've been very lazy lately. And I can give excuses.
You just ran a marathon.
Yeah, I can give excuses that make sense. Like, I'm playing with my kids and stuff. It is nice playing with my kids, but
yeah.
I've genuinely been like, nowhere near as productive lately. What the fuck are they doing back there? Guys, give it a rest.
Just being distracted.
I've been lazy lately, so like, hey, it's not a real excuse, but like, I'm definitely at this place. And like, I'm in my mid-40s. I've achieved a degree of financial confidence where like I'm able to make enough living to support myself. I'm at a place in my life which I hope everyone gets to experience, which is that I really can choose to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And the truth is, all I want to do is be alone in my office making YouTube videos. Like, I just want to make these, like, you should make a feature. Like, no. You ever made a feature? Not fun.
Yeah.
Like, being alone, making these little videos, doing that Rick Rubin thing, which is like, you finish it, or you put this thing that doesn't do, you tweet, then you click play, and you're like, yes, and you watch back your own work, and you get that feeling. That is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And all I want to do right now is kind of chase that. There's nothing in the spectrum of options for me that excites me anywhere near as much as that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing stopping me from doing that except for my own laziness, which I've really been leaning into lately.
Well, can I just like ask about the laziness point? Because I am a writer and an actor. We just won the strike. Let's go. But I also feel like, thanks, that's strong. I also feel like there is, for me, and like I think a lot of people's creative processes, they forget that they need to like kind of go like numb and like sort of like NPC mode to just let the world happen and like to regain that creativity. Do you feel like you need to recharge? Do you feel like there is value in that like break?
I mean, no, I think mostly it's bullshit. Fucking cowards that are like, I need a...
But it's a new season of Fortnite.
I need like a me day, like a personal fucking self-development. Fuck
Yeah.
you. Like, that is something you earn, and it is a privilege.
Yeah.
Because when I was on welfare and was getting free milk from the fucking state, if I was having a bad day and decided I needed to take a me day, my kid wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
So like, I don't subscribe to any of that bullshit.
Yeah.
But eventually, if you do it right, you get to be like a fucking privileged rich guy like me and just fuck off and do nothing.
Yeah.
So I can justify my nothingness because I can, but I don't think that it's necessarily fair.
It doesn't necessarily help you?
No, I don't think it helps. I think I broke myself making a video every day for 800 days. I definitely broke something. It's bad. I can't figure it out. I'm forever broken. But I think the only way that like The only thing that makes me feel good is when I finish something.
Yeah.
Like when I start a video and finish it, that is the only thing in life that's like, that is the only marker of progress.
Yeah.
In my professional life. And that's what I'm chasing. And that's why like I don't cut myself slack. Like I call myself out. I'm being lazy and I hate it.
Yeah.
And I need to get back to work and I want to get back to work. And I beat myself up over it.
Yeah.
And then I watched War of the Worlds yesterday at 2 in the afternoon. It's a Spielberg movie, not one of his best, but my God.
Yeah, the guy can tell.
He fucking did a great job.
He always does.
Cruise is so good in that movie. Dakota Fanning is she's amazing.
Yeah.
The other boy I thought was miscast, but a fantastic movie.
I'm glad that you get to enjoy them. I mean, I think this is also a good place to pivot to like sort of this whole hustle culture idea, because I think that like 5 years ago, that was probably a dominating culture on YouTube of like, well, how dare you need to sleep or eat food? Like, just make things. Productivity is everything. And I think a lot of people are trying to like figure out more balance for them. So just to sort of pivot to like, you did just run a marathon. How do you balance being like a sports boy and also like a creative? Because I think it seems unnatural, I think, for a lot of people to like have that sort of physicality where it's like you're in that zone and also be proficient at other things.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, first on the hustle culture thing, like there is a certain toxicity to hustle culture. But I also think that like, I think the glorification of hustle culture 5-6 years ago was pretty stupid. And I was a part of it. I still think it was like pretty stupid. But I still think it's correct.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you, like, I've had the privilege of meeting throughout my life, whether like when I was a tech entrepreneur, a filmmaker, an athlete, any of the things that I've done in my career, there is a direct correlation with the most successful people and the hardest working people.
Yeah.
I don't know one person, I've met one person in my life who's at the top of their industry who didn't work harder than everyone else. That is facts. So like, yeah, it's toxic and working all the time and not sleeping and sacrificing your health and all that fucking stuff. But if you want it, yeah, there's a shitty, fucked up price to pay, and that's what it is.
Yeah, life's algorithm is just a little.
It just sucks.
You gotta do it.
You don't have to. I think there's a very happy, comfortable life where, like, you know, where you're not. And you find a place that works for you, and I think that's also to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And we touched on this a little while ago, but I think that's the beauty of YouTube now. I think YouTube now is more fragmented than it's ever been. Photography now, social media now is more fragmented than it's ever been. You don't need to be Mr. Beast to be successful.
Yeah.
You can have 20,000 subscribers that are really dedicated to your craft and what you're doing. They appreciate the niche that you're living in. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like, what it used to mean to be a successful artist was to be at the top or you didn't exist. And I think all of us here live in a unique time in the world of art and creativity, which is that, like, you can find a degree of success that is manageable, where you are celebrated by your audience, and that audience can be something much smaller, much more specific.
Yeah.
I talked about a collaboration I did recently with these dudes on the YouTube channel, and it's only about retro video games. Like, what a crazy, subtle, tiny little niche, but like, I'm a product of like the 80s and 90s. I fucking love Nintendo, man.
Yeah.
And I linked up with these guys, and like, they have a great audience. They built a career. They sell a coffee table book.
Oh, wow.
And they're interested in one tiny little subject that is for nerds from the 90s like me.
Yeah.
So I think that's an amazing thing. And me now is how I balance it is I just don't.
Yeah.
I justify not working because I gotta go run another 1,000 miles by myself, listen to some book on tape.
Yeah.
It was much harder when I was doing my daily vlog.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to stay healthy and stay on top of all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it back then. I think it was like, back then, when I started my daily vlog, it started on March 25th, I think 2015. That August of 2015, I was $200,000 in debt.
Ugh.
So I had
Wait a minute, somebody lent you that much?
credit cards.
Oh man, you gotta teach me how to get some credit cards.
Because I made a good living up until then directing TV commercials, but I stopped earning because I was doing, I started my tech company. So like, I was definitely more broke when I was a teenager and had nothing. I was making $400 a week washing dishes, and I was like having to get money from the state. I didn't have access to, but I had credit cards. But I was negative, my net worth was negative $200,000. I used to make excuses for Candace every month about why I couldn't come up with my half of the rent.
Yeah.
So the idea of like taking it easy or watching War of the Worlds instead of working that day.
Yeah.
It just didn't occur to me. It was not an option.
Yeah.
It was do it all, because that's your only path out of this fucking hole you've done for yourself.
Yeah.
Or get married.
Yeah.
Or it's over. And that is a really strong motivator. So like, I don't know how I balance things, but necessity is absolutely the mother of success. Like if you don't have to, you're probably not gonna.
Yeah.
So finding that have to, finding that reason, I think is a really powerful, really understated aspect of succeeding in any capacity in life.
Yeah. I guess I'll have like one more sort of YouTube question, and I think we can take some from the audience. Okay, cool. So my last question is about Mr. Beast, because you know, he has more viewers than God, and he's huge and everywhere. So I subscribe to a really great Substack. It's called Garbage Day. Ryan Broderick, who used to be at BuzzFeed, writes it. But he wrote an interesting article recently about Mr. Beast in particular.
Okay.
Because he just did this video about like building these wells in Africa.
Yep.
And a lot of what he does is like he gets a large sum of money and he gives it away or does some sort of big stunt. And no matter how much good he is doing, there is always like a group of people who are like, I don't know, man, he's just weird.
Every one of us would fail. There's just no way to do it.
Yeah.
And he sat in front of that webcam and counted to like 10,000. And the video was watch me count to 10,000. It was him for like 40 hours. 1, 2, 3, no cuts. The video went viral. There's no creativity in that. There's nothing inspired. But it's like, fuck, like this is, I need to watch it to see if he actually did it. I'm gonna skip through it. Like, he had that in him. And what he does now is he's scaled that to such a preposterous level where he has teams of brilliant people around him that are like, how do we make a video that does another 200 million views? And it's like, okay, let's get 10 of the world's most expensive yachts. We're gonna need Tom Brady for this one and Justin Timberlake over here. And we're gonna fly in on a helicopter and we're gonna give away $1 million at the end to the pizza delivery guy. Go. And like, they're not stopping being like, how can we change the world or how can we affect culture? That is their stated goal.
Yeah.
And I think there's beauty in that, and I appreciate it for its honesty. What frustrates me are people who are out there being like, I just want to inspire the world and make a difference, and their only objective is to get views, because they're fucking frauds.
Ooh.
Like, be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest. Like,
What
if you're trying to make work,
views,
yes.
Like,
If you just want the views, God bless. Get in line. Good luck. I don't care. But he's honest about it. He's always been honest about it.
yeah.
And I don't think I'd give a shit, or anybody would give a shit, but he did it. Like, he did it on a level that is unfathomable. Like, the best example I give is back in the day when they started YouTube Originals, which has since been killed.
Yeah.
I met with the head of it, Suzanne Daniels, and they're like, our goal is to do what no one's done before, to create an episodic on YouTube that does 10 million views or 15 million views every upload. That was their goal, and they threw tens of millions of dollars at it. Jimmy's doing 200 million an upload. And he's just a guy in North Carolina who figured it out. I don't really get his videos. I don't watch them. I don't, but I celebrate what he's done for its honesty. Just like I celebrate when I find a person who's got like 37 views on a video and I watch it and I'm like, that's genius.
Yeah.
I appreciate this individual for doing their things because clearly this video is not made for views. I appreciate that and I appreciate him. It's that mush in the middle. It's those fakers in the middle.
Yeah.
Who are just trying to do it because they want to be famous or they want to be loved or they want to be liked.
Yeah.
So they make whatever garbage they think will get the most views. That I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
There's no time for that. But he's not that. And the creative's not that.
Yeah.
And you're not that.
Yeah.
And I hope none of you are. I can't imagine any of you are. You wouldn't be here listening to us go on about whatever babble we're yapping about.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Are we
and
taking
we are
questions?
going to take a few questions from the audience. We have a few more minutes left, so thank you all for Okay, we'll just have to yell. Okay, I'm calling on you right here because I saw your hand first.
I've been watching your videos for a long time because you had so mad. So the question that I wanted to ask you for a long time is that how do you feel the last time the last time in New York when you have to move to Los Angeles, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. So the question was, how did I feel moving to LA?
Like, I know how much you love New York.
Yeah, so like, look, we moved to Los Angeles 4 years ago for family reasons. All of my wife's family, my family was out there. We thought it was time for a change. And then just failed miserably. It just didn't work for us. But as it pertains to me as a creative, I think I underestimated how much creative inspiration I took from my environment. Like New York City for me is so much more than a home. It's like, we talk about that idea of interestingness. Like I can step outside right now and write 10 YouTube videos before I get into the block.
Yeah.
And that's not everybody, but that's how I feel about New York City. So when I moved to California, among the myriad other things that like the place just wasn't a good fit for me or my family, that was the singular thing I missed the most. And when I get back to New York, it's like all my notebooks are filled up with ideas because like I can't step outside without seeing something like, how come nobody's told that story yet? Like why hasn't anybody done that? Like this is preposterous, but in my 1,200 videos on YouTube, my 4 billion views, the most watched video I've ever made was a 15-second cell phone clip I posted on TikTok a few weeks ago with no cuts, no edits, no color correction, no nothing. Where I was walking down the street and I felt the soft spot in the sidewalk. I took my cell phone and pushed down and the hole fell out beneath my foot. You can see like 100 feet into the dregs of New York. And I posted that like 100 million views later. I'm like, see, this city's fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's what I missed in Los Angeles. Great question. As the moderator, try to go boy-girl. We'll kind of mix it up a little.
Yeah, okay.
I know we're a little X chromosome heavy here, but
yeah. We got
any
right,
ladies
here's one right here. Let's hear it.
Hi,
That's good.
I'm just intrigued as to what was that shot during the Google commercial that they were celebrating about, because I love that.
Okay, so the question was, what was the shot in the Lululemon commercial? Which, by the way, that is a great commercial.
It's so good.
If you want to know why commercial directors are so celebrated in their field, try to do anything in 30 seconds where like, here, your job is to sell pants. You have 30 seconds to do it. And by the way, it better be creative and interesting. That is a hard assignment, and that commercial is fantastic. So the opening shot is this crazy wide shot where there's a dude in the foreground, he watches me go by on a skateboard in the background. That was not in the shot list. That was not in the storyboard. But we're shooting there, and the director's like, we need a wide. And how it works, okay, Casey, go. And I'm like, no, we're gonna make this happen. And I think the celebration was that like, we're supposed to do it, but we did it, and it worked. And that's what everybody was celebrating.
All right. Oh, everybody has a question. Okay, I see one right in front.
I think so. The way that YouTube has evolved now with like
So the question was, as much as YouTube has evolved into 2023, what are the 3 steps I would give for success? Just watch Mr. Beast do exactly what he does. No, I think like, I only have one tip, and it's the same terrible tip I've been giving forever because it's unsatisfying. But it's that if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're going to fail from the onset. If you're going to try and be Mr. Beast, you're just going to be a terrible Mr. Beast because he already did it. Like, you have to be your own person. You have to be your own voice. You have to find your own thing or you're not going to succeed. And if you do succeed, you're just going to be a second-rate whoever you're copying.
Right.
And I think that is so easy to say and it sounds hard. It's really hard to do. And I think the only way to find your own voice, find your own style, find your own thing is just to do it over and over and over and over. And eventually you'll get there. One other thing that I've come to appreciate is another really unsatisfying aspect of succeeding in anything, but certainly on YouTube, which is patience. Like, are you willing to do what you're doing right now for 10 straight years without one person saying you did a good job, without making one cent? If you're not, fucking quit today.
Yeah.
Because that is the only way you might find success, is to run at something and not back off until you get what you're looking for. And that sucks, man. It sucks. It just sucks. Like,
What? How do you make cash? How do you make views or cash?
How do you make money? How do you monetize?
Oh, how do you monetize? Okay, that's a good question.
yeah,
but
get a day job. Fucking serious, man.
True. I
You have a day job, and then you do that to pay for your YouTube habit.
Yeah.
YouTube is like, it's like a cool hobby that's expensive.
Yeah.
Find something else to pay for it. Only do it because you love it. If you're doing it because you think you're going to get money, quit immediately.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Hold on, there's an order.
We had a
Come back
girl
to the follow-up.
situation, sir.
Yeah, all right, wait, who's the next girl? It's girl time. Way back there in the back. You got the yo. Yeah, you.
Do you think monetization reduces your artistry?
Do you think monetization reduces your artistry?
I mean, I think it can. You know, like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. I've done a lot of stupid things. Actually, it's probably not even top 10, but it's on. I didn't turn on monetization on YouTube for my first 100 million views. You know how much money that cost me? And I didn't do it because at the time I was like, no, YouTube is just a distribution platform where I'm putting work that I care about. I will make money doing something else. And I did that as a safety to keep myself from not fucking with my artistry. And I think that I learned, like I found a place that worked. And like when I really started getting crazy views, I had a kind of cruise control. But I definitely think like, you know, towards the end of my daily vlog, a lot of the impetus to keep uploading was because like the metrics YouTube gives you on that app, up, like pulling down, refresh, where there's like a direct correlation between like the view count going up and how much is going to show up in your bank account at the end of the month. It fucks with you, like it fucked with me, and I'm someone who was deliberately fighting it. So for me, like I think I'd like to say no, but the truth is probably like a little bit affected me. But it like I think it's a very dangerous thing. I also think like the reason why you see the people who have like crashed and burned and have been canceled because they've done atrocious shit on their YouTube channel is because they do something sensational. It gets a lot of views. They're like, that worked. More sensationalism.
Yeah.
And it's this vicious cycle of like more and more crazy until it fucking explodes.
Yeah.
And that's really dangerous. So I'm guilty of it, sure, like chasing the views so I can get paid more money. But I can also tell you as an elder statesman, looking back at it with total clarity, it's a mistake every time.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I will add, just something you've said to me before, but you told me about a conversation you had with Spike Jones, who said that he's at his best when he's working on one thing at a time. Instead of just trying to make everything to make money. And so I remember you looking on that favorably. And so
that was like my dream when he said that to me. The truth, like, Spike Jones is one of my heroes, one of my, like, the reason why I picked up a camera. And I was doing like a TV show or something, and I wanted him to be an executive producer on it. And I called him and I was like, dude, we have a huge budget. You'll get paid so much. I just want you to watch my edits and say good or bad or give me notes. That's it. It's a tiny. And he was like, didn't give a shit, didn't ask me what the money was. He was like, I'm working on this thing right now, I only do one thing at a time. It's how I make sure it's good. And when he said that, like, I didn't have any pushback. I respected what he said so much. It just made me retune everything I was doing because I want to be that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I have time for one more question. Who has a really good one? Who?
I have a good one.
Oh, this is tough.
I have a really good one.
Okay, I'm gonna do two. I'm so sorry. I know you're serious. Okay, I'm gonna do you and then you.
Thank you.
You all wave the hardest. You know?
Casey, I followed you for like 14 years. I'm from a small village in Sweden, like 7,000 people. You made me move to Barcelona, like a much bigger place.
Okay, so far this question sucks.
Yeah.
You're getting there. He's getting there.
And you know, you made me go to New York and United States for the first time also. And you know, I used to run this marathon and then you showed up beside me, you know, like from nowhere. So you have changed me a lot. You have made me do many things in life. How many like thoughts do you have in your studio when you're sitting there planning your videos about you changing your crowd, like you're changing your fans, your audience? How long do you think about it that you actually put in?
Okay, so I think the question was like, well, thank you for saying all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Congrats on the marathon.
Thank you.
The question was like, how much do I think about the impact the work has on the audience? And the answer is zero. The answer is zero.
Okay.
It's zero. Like,
Don't get high on your own supply. You're not like, wow.
no, look. Hearing people say things like that is the most incredible thing. And thank you for sharing. What was your time?
3:15. What's your
Fuck, that's
first?
fast. Holy shit. 3:15 is when he did this first marathon. My goal in my first marathon was 3:30, and I ran a 4:15. That's like a heroic time. But the truth is, no, I don't think about that at all. I don't think about that at all because I think it's stupid. I think like you as the creator, you have no agency over how people are going to interpret your work. And probably for every person that listens to a song and says, I love that, that changed my thinking, there's another person who's like, that's dumb. You know, like, so to try to shape what you're doing to affect an audience, to do something you have no control over, is a waste of energy. It's a waste of your own, like, your own thinking. And for me, I just watch it till I think it's really good. And that's it. And if I think it's really good, like, I have to not care. Which is why I think I was saying about, like, the YouTube comments that hurt the most are the ones that are the truth. Like, when I would put out work, because I was doing a daily show that I knew was subpar, and people would say it's subpar, that's what hurts.
Yeah.
It's the very opposite.
Yeah.
Instead of me being like, how can I make something that's going to change people's lives? I'm like, fuck, maybe I can trick people into thinking this is good. And I get called out for it, and I'm like, busted. That hurts.
You can change people to become superhumans by doing good work and showing the world in a good way.
You just look, like, it's like, be true to yourself and you'll always be fine. And I know it's like something you read on a poster with like a little cat hanging from a tree or something, but like, it's the truth. Like, we all have to live with ourselves.
Okay, we have time for exactly one more,
Okay.
and it's from you. We work harder. Casey here, over here.
Vintage.
Vintage Casey, what's good?
One thing I admire about your videos the most is your fearlessness. I watch your videos and I think he's willing to get that shot no matter what the environment is. No matter if it's awkward or if you have to leave the camera like a block away just to get the shot. How did you attain the fearlessness not only to risk your thousands of dollars?
Right, so the question was like, how do you become fearless in getting shots? And I will say, like, referring to like ambitious shots, whether creatively or ambitious, speak in a crowd and you're talking to the camera. The truth is, like, it's mostly a lie. Like, I mostly fake it. So like, when you see me in a big crowd and I'm talking to the camera, trust that I've been standing there for 20 minutes with my camera down, like waiting for everybody, like, no one's looking at me now, nope, someone's looking. And like, until I can get it just right, to just diminish the shame that I feel by filming myself like a fucking idiot in a crowd. So like, it's not about bravery. And for what it's worth, when I watch other people's vlogs and they're talking to a camera and there are people like, what the fuck is this asshole doing? I feel the same way. I'm like, this guy looks like an idiot. I just didn't want to be that idiot, so I would do whatever it takes to make that happen. And as far as like putting your camera down and leaving it, that you just get good at it. You just like, it's always scary, and you have to get good at it.
It could get
like,
stolen at any moment.
especially like in New York, like, it is so gnarly. I do it all the time. In downtown Manhattan, I'll put my camera across the street and run back into my office and have to wait for the door to close and immediately burst out. And like, you just hope it's still there. But, like, you gotta get the shot, man.
Have you ever gotten a camera stolen?
Have you ever gotten a camera stolen? No, which is crazy.
Thank you all so